Skills are the only currency that can't be stolen. Money gets spent. Followers get deleted. Platforms get banned. But a skill, once it's in your hands, nobody can take it from you. That's the shocking part most people never sit with. They spend 20 years collecting money and 0 years collecting skill, then wonder why they're broke the moment the paycheck stops. A skill is compounding. Money isn't. You can lose every dollar you own tomorrow and rebuild it in 6 months if you have the skill that made it in the first place. That's not motivation, that's math. Rich people know this, which is why they obsess over learning, not spending. Poor people think wealth is a number in the bank. Wealthy people know wealth is a number of problems you can solve for other people. The problem is nobody tells you this in school. School sells you the lie that a degree equals income. It doesn't. Skill equals income. A degree is just one, usually overpriced, way to try to get one. The moment you understand that every dollar in existence is just someone paying to make their problem disappear, you stop chasing jobs and start stacking abilities. 1 skill gets you noticed. 2 skills stacked together make you rare. 3 skills stacked make you unreplaceable. That's not talent, that's inventory. And inventory, unlike time, doesn't expire when you sleep. Trading hours is the slowest way to get rich. Here's the trap almost everyone falls into without realizing it. They take a skill, and instead of packaging it, they rent it out by the hour. That's the ceiling. If you're paid for your time, you have a mathematical cap on your income. There are only 24 hours in a day, and you can't sell the same hour twice. Shocking truth. The janitor and the surgeon are both trading time, just at different price points. Neither one gets rich doing that. Rich happens when your skill stops being tied to your presence. When you can build something once, a course, a product, a system, a piece of content, and it sells while you sleep, eat, or scroll. That's leverage. That's the entire difference between a job and wealth. Most people spend their whole life upgrading their hourly rate instead of removing the hour completely from the equation. Ask yourself right now, does my income require me to physically show up? If the answer is yes, you don't have a business, you have a really well-disguised job. The fastest path from broke to wealthy isn't working harder hours. It's converting your skill into an asset that works without you. Once your skill can scale without your time attached to it, your income stops being linear and starts being exponential, and that's when everything changes. Specificity is what makes people pay more. Nobody pays premium prices for "I can help you." They pay premium prices for "I can fix this exact problem for this exact person in this exact amount of time." That's shocking to hear because everyone's taught to appeal to everyone. Be broad, be safe, don't alienate anyone. Wrong move. The riches are in the niches, and there's a brutal reason why. When you speak to everyone, you're competing with everyone. When you speak to one specific person's one specific pain, you become the only option in the room. A generalist gets compared. A specialist gets chosen. If you say, "I help people get fit," you're one of 10 million people saying that. If you say, "I help 40-year-old dads lose the belly fat that's making them feel old in front of their kids," you just became irreplaceable to a very specific, very desperate audience. Desperation plus specificity equals price. The tighter your promise, the higher your fee, because certainty is the most expensive thing you can sell. People don't buy skills. They buy the certainty that their exact problem disappears. So the real move isn't learning more skills to become more general. It's narrowing the skill you already have until it becomes a scalpel instead of a butter knife. A scalpel gets paid like a surgeon. A butter knife gets paid like a waiter. Proof sells louder than talk ever will. You could be the most skilled person on the planet, and if nobody can see evidence of it, you're invisible. That's the brutal, shocking part nobody wants to admit. Skill without proof is just a private hobby. The market doesn't reward ability, it rewards demonstrated ability. This is why one testimonial, one before and after, one result posted publicly, is worth more than 1,000 words describing how good you are. People are exhausted by claims. Everyone claims to be the best. Nobody trusts claims anymore, they trust receipts. So the real wealth move isn't just building the skill, it's documenting the skill in real time, publicly, relentlessly, until the proof becomes impossible to ignore. Every result you get for yourself or someone else is a piece of ammunition. Stack enough proof, and you don't have to convince anyone of anything. The evidence does the selling for you. This is why the poor stay quiet about their wins, and the wealthy broadcast every single one. It's not arrogance, it's strategy. Silence is invisible. Proof is magnetic. If you're sitting on results and not showing them, you're sitting on unclaimed money. The market pays for what it can verify, not for what it's told. Show, don't tell, and let the results do the closing for you. The same skill sold 2 ways can make 10x the money. Here's something that will shock you. 2 people with the identical skill can have a 100x difference in income, and it has nothing to do with talent. It's packaging. How you wrap a skill determines what the world is willing to pay for it. A personal trainer charging by the session is capped low. The same trainer packaging that skill into a 12-week transformation program is charging 10x more for the exact same knowledge. Nothing about their ability changed. This is the most underrated wealth lesson that exists. The value isn't only in what you know, it's in how you structure what you know into something people can say yes to instantly. A weak offer makes people think. A strong offer makes people act. So stop asking, how do I get better at my skill, as the only path to more money, and start asking, how do I package what I already know so the value is undeniable? Bundle it. Guarantee it. Simplify the decision until saying no feels harder than saying yes. The market isn't underpaying your skill. Your offer is underselling it. Fix the packaging before you blame the price. Most people don't have an income problem. They have a presentation problem, wrapped around a perfectly good skill nobody can see the value of yet. Reps beat talent. Every single time. The final truth, and probably the most shocking, is that the person who wins isn't the most gifted, it's the one who does the most repetitions while everyone else waits to feel ready. Skill is not a lightning bolt, it's erosion. It's 1,000 boring, unremarkable attempts that nobody claps for, stacked until one day the output looks like magic to everyone who wasn't watching. People want the highlight reel without the 1,000 hours behind it. That's the lie social media sells, overnight success, and it's exactly why most people quit at rep 47 out of the 1,000 they needed. Volume is undefeated. The person willing to embarrass themselves publicly, fail loudly, and keep showing up will always outproduce the talented person who's too scared to start. Wealth isn't given to the smartest person in the room. It's given to the person who was still in the room after everyone else left. Every skill you have right now is worth more than it was a year ago, simply because of the reps you already put in, even the failed ones. Especially the failed ones. So the real question isn't, am I talented enough? It's, am I willing to do this enough times, badly, in public, until it becomes valuable? That single willingness is the actual dividing line between broke and wealthy. What if the reason you're broke has nothing to do with money and everything to do with the fact that you've been sitting on a gold mine your entire life and calling it a job skill instead of an asset? Let that sink in. You already have what you need. You've just been trained to rent it out by the hour instead of owning it outright. Think about it. The surgeon and the janitor are doing the exact same thing financially. Both trading time for dollars, both capped, both 1 sick day away from zero income. That's not wealth. That's a really well-dressed trap. Here's what nobody tells you. Money isn't the asset. Skill is the asset. Money disappears. Markets crash. Platforms get shut down overnight. But a skill lives inside you. And nobody, not a recession, not a bad boss, not an algorithm change, can reach in and take it out. You could lose everything tomorrow. And if the skill is real, you rebuild in months, not decades. That's not motivation talking. That's just how the math works. So why are most people still broke with real skills in their hands? Because they never learned the difference between having a skill and monetizing a skill. Two completely different games. Having a skill gets you a job. Monetizing a skill builds you a fortune. And the bridge between those two is something almost nobody talks about: packaging. Watch this: two people, same exact skill, one charges by the hour and stays stuck for a decade. The other wraps that identical skill into an offer so specific, so certain, so impossible to say no to, that they charge 10 times more for doing the same thing. Nothing about their talent changed. Only the wrapping changed. The market didn't underpay them. Their old offer undersold them. And here's the part that stings a little. Being good at everything is the same as being remarkable at nothing. The riches were never in being broad. The riches are in the niche, so specific it feels almost uncomfortable to say out loud. When you speak to everyone, you get compared to everyone. When you speak to one person's one exact pain, you stop being an option. You become the only answer. But none of it matters without proof. You can be the most skilled person alive, and if there's no evidence anyone can see, you are, financially speaking, invisible. The world doesn't pay for potential. It pays for receipts. One visible result beats 1,000 claims about how good you are. Stop whispering about your wins. Start showing them loudly, constantly, until the proof does the selling before you ever open your mouth. And if you take nothing else from this, take this. Talent is not the separator. Reps are. The people who win aren't the gifted ones. They're the ones who kept showing up after attempt number 40, number 90, number 400, long after everyone else quietly gave up and called it not for them. Every skill worth money right now was once embarrassing, clumsy, unpaid, and unnoticed. It became valuable through repetition, not luck. So ask yourself the only question that actually matters. Not, am I talented enough? But am I willing to keep showing up in public, imperfectly, until this skill turns into something the world has to pay for? Because that willingness, not talent, not luck, not timing, is the entire dividing line between the life you're living and the wealth you say you want. Everything comes down to one shift in thinking. Stop treating your skill like a paycheck and start treating it like property. Package it with precision, prove it with results, and repeat it relentlessly until the world has no choice but to pay attention. Wealth was never hiding somewhere out there. It was sitting inside the skill you already have, waiting for you to finally take it seriously. What if I told you the skill you already have, the one you've been giving away for free, underpricing or hiding, because you don't think it's impressive enough, is the exact same thing that's about to change your entire life. Stop for a second. Think about how many hours you spent getting good at something nobody's ever paid you what it's actually worth. That's not a talent problem. That's a packaging problem. Right now, somewhere, someone with less skill than you is charging 10 times more. Not because they're better, but because they stopped hiding and started showing proof. They stopped waiting to feel ready and just did the reps nobody was watching. In the next 60 seconds, you're going to hear exactly why skill, not money, not luck, not connections, is the only real path to wealth that can't be taken from you. And by the end of this, you won't just understand it. You'll be uncomfortable enough to finally do something about it. So don't look away. This is the part that changes everything.